In Nigeria, and welcome to something brand new on your number one business radio, Broad Street Radio. It's the premiere edition of the Civic Mic Show, a show where every voice counts. And today in the studio with me, I have three brilliant minds who are going to be discussing something very important in Nigeria today. I am your host, Otusi James Chuku, and with me I have Barrister David Ewocho in the studio.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with us once again. My name is David Joshua Ewocho, just like he said. I'm a legal practitioner.
All right, madam.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jocelyn Fanny, and I'm a legal practitioner.
And of course, my friend here.
Hello, everyone. My name is Temidayo Gift Shekoni. I'm a legal practitioner as well.
Very good. I have three legal practitioners in the studio, and today we're going to be discussing the Nigerian Tax Act 2025. And the first question I have for my learned friends is this: what is this tax all about? What's new and what has changed? And what do Nigerians need to know about the Nigerian Tax Act 2025?
Okay. Good day, everyone. I'll start by explaining the basics and foundation of tax. What is tax? Tax is a mandatory charge imposed on individuals or legal entities by government to support government spending and provide essential services, and also to provide infrastructures for the society at large. And it should be noted that every country, every nation in the world has a tax system in place. Now, providing an overview of the Nigerian Tax Act, prior to this, we had different legislation across different sectors. We had the personal income tax, capital gains tax, value-added tax, stamp duty tax, and all of that. So, due to the fact that these acts and laws were scattered across different legislation, there was a need to codify all these acts into one single entity for effective administration of this act. So that is when that is the purpose, the aim that the Nigerian Tax Act of 2025 seeks to achieve. Section 1 of the Nigerian Tax Act of 2025 provides the objective of the purpose of the Nigerian Tax Act, which is to unify the physical legislation of tax administration in Nigeria, to provide a single entity for effective administration of all these acts into one single entity, so that it is effective for administration of each of these tax acts. Now, this Nigerian Tax Act came in with complementary reforms and provisions, such as the Nigerian Tax Administration Act of 2025, the Nigerian Revenue Service Act of 2025, and the Joint Revenue Board of 2025. Now, the Nigerian Tax Act of 2025, the purpose, as I said earlier, is to codify all these different acts into one single entity, so that when you need to review a personal income tax, you need to review your check on the laws guiding personal income tax and company income tax, all this is now in a single act, which is the Nigerian Tax Act of 2025. It also provides for key provisions and key enactments, such as the taxation of digital assets, and also now we have rent relief provisions in the Nigerian Tax Act, which was not in the previous personal income tax. You were not able to have that rent relief of 20% for any of your income. So now the Nigerian Tax Act has provided all these measures for reliefs, deductions of your personal income tax exemption rate. That is, if you're earning less than 800,000 as your income, you'll be exempted from paying any tax. Now, we also have the Nigerian Tax Administration Act of 2025. All these are the reforms that are now in place. We have the Nigerian Tax Administration Act of 2025, which the objective, according to Section 1, is to provide for the administration, collection, registration, e-filing of tax acts in Nigeria. Now, Section 4 now makes it compulsory that every taxable person in Nigeria must have a tax identification number. So if you're a Nigerian citizen and you're a taxable person, you must have a tax identification number. Also, Section 3 of the Nigerian Tax Administration Act of 2025 now goes further to provide for the jurisdiction of tax authorities in Nigeria, that is the people that have exclusive responsibility of charging tax in Nigeria, such as the Nigerian Revenue Service Act, which has exclusive responsibility over company income tax and charging tax on Nigerian foreign service and all others. We also have the State Inland Revenue Service, which has the functions and responsibility of imposing tax on personal income tax, and these lists are provided in Section 3 of the Nigerian Tax Administration Act. We also have the Nigerian Revenue Service Act, which now repeals the Federal Inland Revenue Service Act of 2007. This act repeals Federal Inland Revenue Service Act of 2007 and establishes the Nigerian Revenue Service Act 2025, which now establish a system. They have the power and the duties of accounting for, collecting and assessing various revenue that are accruable to the federal government of Nigeria. So this body is charged with that function and with that purpose. That's the Nigerian Revenue Service Act. And we have finally, because we have 4 reforms, we have the Joint Revenue Board Act. The Joint Revenue Board Act is a body that established the collection of tax, responsibility of tax and all of that. The Section 5 of the Joint Revenue Board ensures that the Joint Revenue Board has a database for all taxpayers in Nigeria. So now it ensures that every taxpayer, there's a database for tax in Nigeria. That's the responsibility of the Joint Revenue Board Act. It also goes further to establish a tax tribunal appeal. So in an instance where you are trying to resolve a conflict, where there's a conflict between what you were charged and you were charged more than you were meant to be charged, there's a tax tribunal appeal established for you to resolve complaints pertaining to tax and all of that. So that's what all this reform seeks to achieve, to ensure that there is a unified codification of all tax acts into one single act, into one single entity, to ensure the smooth administration and effective administration of tax acts in Nigeria. The reform also ensures that there is appropriate compliance with tax in Nigeria. There's already, because previously we didn't really have all these bodies to ensure that there is tax in Nigeria. Now there's all these bodies that ensure smooth compliance with tax in Nigeria. The reform also ensures that there is non-resident companies. We want to talk about non-resident companies due to the fact that in the previous acts, they were charged only on their physical presence. Now they are being charged on their significant economic presence in Nigeria, aside the physical presence in Nigeria. So they are being charged on their significant economic presence in Nigeria. It has also established digital assets, broadened the tax base in Nigeria, ensuring that influencers, content creators, digital assets, cryptocurrencies and all of that are charged in Nigeria.
Wow, thank you very much. This is a wonderful overview of the Nigerian Tax Act. Thank you very much, Barrister Josephine.
Yes.
And if I were to ask, like an everyday Nigerian, like the man on the street, can there be a further breakdown of these things that Barrister Josephine have highlighted?
All right, I will take that. Okay, good evening once again. So let me start with the aspect of consolidation of the laws into one legislation that can help us.
All right.
So I want to assess my tax liabilities.
Okay.
Instead of worrying myself going to about 3, 4, or 5 different pieces of legislations, if I come to the NTA, that's Nigerian Tax Act, everything is sorted more or less. So with that, I can be properly guided. So nobody can be telling me, oh, there's another law I don't know about. So once you are armed with these 4 pieces of legislation, NTA, you are also armed with NSR, and the other 2 also mentioned, you are good to go. That's one. Okay. Now, another thing you need to know, like she mentioned, is the aspect of personal income tax.
All right.
This comes with some deductibles.
Okay.
So, as let me say I'm an employee and I'm earning, or I'm a trader and I'm earning, there are certain things the law clearly provides for me that I can be exempted from paying. And you will find more of this in this same NTA. Okay. That's in the Nigerian Tax Act. So, for instance, what I find very interesting is the rent relief.
Okay.
So, let's say I pay ₦1 million as rent. With this rent relief, I am exempted from paying 20% of that. So that means when I assess all my income, and it is, let's say, about ₦1 million altogether, then I will now check, okay, how much rent did I pay this year? Let's say I paid 1 million. With 20% relief, that means when I calculate that 20%, whatever I arrive at, I can deduct it from the 1 million I earned that year. Do you understand now? Yeah. That's one of them. So there's 20 million cap, 20% cap. But if I pay a rent of, say, ₦5 million, you know, there are some people that live in such kind of locations, then that 20% will not count totally. So there's a cap. By the time I calculate 20% of 5 million, I'll be having like 1 million. But the cap is that I cannot exceed 500,000 naira. So all I can deduct is 500,000 naira, not that 1 million. Oh, wow. So that's how they programmed it. So it pays those who are maybe earning lesser and then therefore ensuring that their rent is not so high. So for someone to be paying rent of 5 million, the tax law reasons that you are relatively comfortable. Yes. And that you should be able to pay more tax. Yes. Yes. So in a way, to be honest, at least in theory for now, it is safe to say that the act actually favors low-income earners.
Wow. Really?
Yes. It makes it easier for them. Because by the time there are other deductibles I didn't mention. Okay. By the time you calculate all the deductibles, the way we want to work with this series, you know, it's a 4-week series. Yeah. We'll go into more details as the days goes by, whereby we'll even look at next week, by God's grace, we'll be looking at the specifics of those details, of those deductibles that you don't need to pay your tax on, because you are allowed to, by law, to deduct them. So by the time you do all those calculations, you find out that with 800,000 naira per annum for someone that is earning that kind of income, yeah, you are free. But the way it is designed, you must still file your returns like a document that says, okay, these are what I've earned for this year, and I'm sure that I am not entitled to pay tax based on XYZ. It is now compulsory
that I'll have to file.
Yes.
Wow, this is
so one of the things the act brought in is that everybody must now be paying tax, or must declare that you are tax exempted, meaning your income is not that high to warrant paying tax. But guess what? They have access to our account. Yes.
Really?
Yes, they have access to our account. So the Nigeria Revenue Service now has more powers. So you cannot easily hide. You can, in fact, it is now in your interest to keep your records properly, keep your receipts properly, be ready for them. Don't go trying to avoid them, because they can bill you what you know that you are not earning. And then because you have not kept all those transactions and receipts, you will not be able to defend yourself. But when you have been keeping your own records, being tax conscious, everybody will now have to be tax conscious. Filing as at when due, you'll be free, you'll be fine. But the moment you are trying to play a fast one and they discover, because they don't have more powers that will enable them to discover, then they will come for you and there will be penalties. So it is now favorable to be compliant on your own as at when due than waiting for them to come after you. It will not be funny.
Wow, in fact, there is something that you mentioned now that is making me afraid, kind of. Okay. You said they have access to how much we earn.
Yes, they do. They do. So in our plan.
Wow.
By the time we come next week, we'll go into more details as to the provisions that empower them to actually have access to your account. So they can even deduct from source. Yes.
From my account?
Yes, they can even deduct from source. So the days of trying to play a fast one, oh, I don't want to pay tax, is over actually. With these acts, all you need to do is be consistent with your keeping of your own records. Don't try to play a fast one, because the more you try to hide, the more they have the power to say, oh, that means it is part of your income. Because if it was not your income, why didn't you disclose it? So let's say you actually use a set of amount for business and you bought certain things, and then by right you are actually allowed to deduct those amounts. But because you went hiding, it will be counted as part, it may be counted as part of your income instead of an amount that can be deducted.
Okay, so now there is this question that is coming to my head.
Yes.
When you have mentioned that they have access to the account, they know how much you're earning. What if somebody gives me money?
Good.
Will I still pay tax from it?
There is a provision that allows you not to pay tax on gifts.
Okay.
On gifts, but it must be proven that it is actually a gift.
It's making it more complex, because I will have to now state everything that is coming into my account.
Yes.
This is a gift, this is an income.
Yes. So when I studied this act, when we started studying this, we realized that the era of just being ignorant and being an illiterate that cannot keep record is being attacked. Let me put it that way. It doesn't pay you to just say, all I do is I'm making money, I don't keep records. It doesn't pay you anymore. Right now, everybody will now have to start being more conscious of their records, their expenses, their income, whatever they are doing. In fact, be careful of receiving any amount into your account that you know that is for no purpose. You will still give it back to the person, because it can be deemed to be an income. Yes, it can be deemed to be an income. So you have to be careful, keep your records right. Oh, this is what this money is for, and it was used for it, so that it will not be assumed to be part of your income for the year, and then it will count against you.
So that means there are some persons that actually use their personal accounts for contributions.
Okay.
Like those kind of people now, because I know I belong to a group and we have not opened a corporate account yet. We are still trying to do that. And we have just one trusted person we are paying money into. So that kind of a person now, what would you
So this is a very good issue you just mentioned, a very good example. So the era of doing things that are business-like in nature on a personal level will not also be a very comfortable practice going forward. Anything that has a business structure or design, it's best you treat it as a business, have a business account or a company account, and you deal with it as such, because the leeway for companies is even more favorable. 50 million turnover and you are not taxed. As a company,
you are not taxed.
But you must, like I said, you must always you must be able to declare or at least file your returns. Let me use that term. To say, okay, this and this and this and this are what we have done, and we are still within the 50 million brackets.
Okay, so this filing of returns now, is it going to be electronic?
Yes,
or
that's the beautiful part. So they've actually tried to reduce the stress.
Okay.
Note that this is in principle, based on what the legal framework that this act have enabled currently.
Yeah.
But how it will play out in practice, we'll wait to find out. But in practice and in principle, these things are things you can now do from the comfort of your home on the system.
Wow, this is very wonderful, and I would like to hear from Barrister Temida what you have to say concerning all that we're discussing this evening.
I want to buttress my boss's reply to your question as to gift.
Okay.
One thing about gift is that you really need to declare the gift as a genuine gift. You shouldn't just, when they come, you shouldn't just say, this is a gift I got from my mom or I got from a family member, but you have to declare how you got it. It could be gotten under duress. Your mom probably it was a gun point, and you pointed a gun at your mom and said, "Mom, you have to press this amount of money to me." It happens. You have some bad guys like that.
Okay.
So by the time you are now declaring and you now just show a government official that this is a gift I got from my mom, you have to genuinely say this is a genuine gift and it was not gotten fraudulently.
How? Like,
even the act itself says that it has to be a genuine gift, not just a gift.
if somebody gives me money, how will I now say it is genuine?
You have to prove it. That's how the act has even played now, that no one would go through short corners to say this is a gift I have gotten. You have to prove it legitimately that this is a gift.
So for instance now, by the nature of gift, it should be one of, not so when something is coming in consistently and you are saying it's a gift, it raises question. For instance,
okay, what of this,
especially from a particular person,
and let's take for instance like the Odogu para that will want to gift the Achalugo. Maybe Achalugo cooks this morning and the soup is very fantastic. Odogu sends a gift.
So that could count as part of home expenses. So because of course as a family you will spend money.
Exactly.
There will be things you will need to use your funds to do as a family. So that's understandable. Between husband and wife, it may not be very contentious. It may be very easy to prove. But when it is other parties, that is where they may want to be sure it's actually a gift. So, but the whole, I think the point I would like to emphasize is that point of being proactive in disclosing, taking record and disclosing.
Okay.
If it is them coming after you to do the needful, you will have a tougher challenge to prove that, oh, it is a gift. But if it is you assessing yourself, and then because now self-assessment is encouraged.
Okay.
If you assess yourself and you disclose as at when due, they may not have too much issues with you. But if they notice that you are someone who has not been disclosing and over time penalties are accruing, and then by the time they come after you are not trying to claim that, oh, this one is a gift, that one is a gift, they want to raise questions, eyebrow and ask more questions. Because the thinking will be that you want to hide something, so that's why you are claiming that something is a gift. If it was a gift, why didn't you disclose it earlier?
Okay, so in declaring and disclosing all of this income that is coming into, how do you advise the everyday Nigerian to keep that record, and also in this proactiveness, what are they supposed to do to put in check and all of that? So
let me start by saying, keep your business and keep your personal income.
Okay.
So that's the, let me say, one of the basic places to start from. So you are running a business, at the same time all your personal funds and that business fund is all together. It is not in your favor anymore. So it calls for the discipline of learning how to separate your personal income from your business money. So that will help you be able to say, okay, this is what I earn from this business, but this other money is part of business funds. It's not my money. So with that, it helps. Then even as you are making your own expenses, important expenses should be properly recorded. Important. Now, you cannot just say you want to claim rent relief, for instance, and you did not keep receipt of the rent you paid.
Okay.
For instance. Do you get it? Yeah. So every major or even minor expenses that you can track that is of a significant amount, keep record of it.
So, okay, so what of stores that don't have receipt? Maybe I go to buy food stuff from my Igbo brother, they don't issue receipts for the bag of rice or paint of rice or beans that you buy. So how do we manage that? Very good question. So if you cannot do transfer, which is now even more advisable, because when you are transferring, and even when you are transferring, let the designation or narration be clear. Okay. For what it is. The error of just sending money without narration or any purpose is not going to favor you anymore. Okay. Then if the vendor has receipts, that also helps and make things easier. Yeah. But I would even advise more of even keeping digital records. Okay.
than paper records, because paper records, anything can happen. You can misplace it, you can lose it, and then you start thinking, oh, where did I keep this?
Some
but when you
even
do
fade.
transaction, it can even fade.
Some fade.
Some of this will fade. So but when you do transactions and you are keeping records, or you are making sure that you are minuting it somewhere and all that, it will favor you more. The truth is, the era of just being careless might not favor a lot of people again. But do not forget that this is in principle.
Okay.
By the time they start enforcing these things, you know how maybe the Nigerian factor may want to play in again, whereby they will relax for a while on some persons, while focusing on some other persons. But the day they open your chapter, you will not see that you have penalties to clear and all that, and then you start running around. So that's why, in the spirit of being proactive, you just be getting ready. So let's say for any reason you don't want to disclose, just make sure you are compiling everything you need to compile. Like the day they come for you, you are not looking at no, this is not what, and they are just saying it with word of mouth. No, there must be evidence. But as law-abiding citizens, it is better we are even on the proactive side. When it is time for self-assessment, do your self-assessment, make your disclosures, make your filings, especially where you know that your income bracket is within the tax exemption. Make it easy for yourself and just do the needful and even file it, showing that I'm tax exempted based on the law. So it's easier for you that way. And if you even notice that, because how it works is this: 800,000 naira is exempted. Any amount you earn above 800,000 naira is what you are now liable to pay tax on. Do you understand it now? So that is a way of encouraging people who are still maybe struggling to not bother about tax. But you must disclose. You must file. You must file your return, so to speak. But then the moment you are earning, say 2 million and above per annum, you have to start taking note. And then for the next 2,200,000 naira above your 800,000 naira, you are expected to pay a tax rate of 15%. For the next 2.2 million, you start at 15%. We're talking about individuals now, not company. Then as it goes higher, the percentage increases. Yes, as it goes higher, the percentage that you have to pay tax on increases.
There was a debate I was listening to, and someone was trying to calculate this above 800,000 naira. It says if your income for this year is 800,000 naira and the next year you earn another one, they start counting it for you that you have earned above 800,000 naira. Is that how it works, or is based on the annual income of 800,000 naira?
Are you saying it's whereby they are like calculating for 2 different years?
Okay, like the person said, the 800,000 naira, that after this first year of your 800,000 naira,
yes,
they will now be adding up every other one to it. We're trying to argue that it's yearly, and he's saying no, that it will be adding up, that the next year they will now add the 800,000 of the previous one and now tax you based on that.
No. It's yearly.
It's yearly.
It's yearly. You disclose on yearly basis.
The act says per annum.
It's per annum.
Yearly. By the
So
time
it's
they pay
not-
the coming or the next payments now, that's a fresh year.
Okay.
So where that scenario might be possible is where you are not paying your tax as at when due. So that may be the impact of penalty that is now affecting your calculation. That's why I said in this era now, in the new era, it doesn't pay you to not pay your tax as at when due. It doesn't pay you. It's better you pay as at when due to avoid the penalties that will accrue because you did not disclose.
Okay, now we have all talked about how the tax will be paid is going to be electronic and digital.
Yes.
Now what about those who are in the rural communities? Because where I served, civilization is a little bit far from that side. How are they going to also see that these people in these areas pay their tax and do the needful?
Very good question. So again, that's why I emphasize that this is in principle, in theory. So when it comes to implementation, In fact, my hope is that with this sort of legislation, the government will be more proactive in digitalizing our rural areas, helping them grow their infrastructure so that it will even and don't forget the essence of taxation. One of the concerns I had with this whole move is, at the end of the day, hope the taxpayers will see the impact of their payments. Do you understand it now? People will not have any problem with paying tax if they can see the results. They will feel morally justified to pay tax. But when you are paying tax, you are doing the needful, and then all you read in the news is how several billions have been squandered and cannot be accounted for, and then basic amenities, infrastructures are not being taken care of. You will want to be more ingenious in how to rob the government of that tax, because you feel, since they are not doing it for me, let me use the money and do it for myself. So I hope that this will also put a positive pressure on the government to start doing the needful. If you are doing the needful, the rural areas will not be rural because there's no infrastructure. It will simply be rural because it's a village setting. When I mean use the word village setting, not that village setting, some places they call village in overseas. You'll be wondering, why are they calling this place a village? But because they know that actually by the history of that place, those locations are village areas. But the development and infrastructure have so touched that area up that if you are using our standard of what we call village, you will not see it in such areas. So that's what we should have.
And in addition to that as well, the rural areas that you mentioned, but let me just say the act is not saying it will totally be digitalized. Because definitely the government will also put in place of those people that are not computer literate and the likes. So they have their own ways. The fact that they brought in digitalization is just that it will be easier for corporate people, companies to just pay their tax online in their house or in the office. It's not as if it's going to be totally digitalized and it would deprive the rural areas or the rural area habitats now to not be able to pay tax easily. They can easily walk down to their tax station and the likes, their offices, to pay their taxes. But it's now easier for anyone on their system, on their phone and the likes, to pay their tax, do their filing on their home. That's why they are now bringing the modernization of digitalization as well.
Wow, this is wonderful, because while we were discussing all of this, my mind was going to those the Alata,
they can easily walk down to where they have been paying before.
I'm very sure the government will not want them to escape. While we're discussing this, we actually said some market women are earning so much. Forget about the fact that they dress like, they are market people, speak Yoruba or speak their native language, whether it is Igbo or Hausa. But some of them earn better than some so-called white-collar job employees. So the government is aware of this. And so, but the era of not having an account, I'm sure, will be discouraged. In fact, let me share one interesting provision I saw. This tax ID, the new act now gave them the power to issue you a tax ID whether or not you apply for it. Yes. So once they believe that with the information available to them that this person is making money but does not have a tax ID, the new act gives them the power to issue you, register you and issue a tax ID, and of course bill you what you're supposed to pay, what they believe you're supposed to pay. So the era of, I just want to hide, I'm a market woman, I don't want to pay, is gone.
Wow, this is
gone. It's compulsory tax ID.
This is becoming interesting. So whether I like it or not, I will be billed.
You will be billed.
And I will pay tax.
You will pay tax.
Wow, if you are watching us live right now and you have a question or you want to share your views, you can call the number on the screen and you will join us in the conversation. We have 3 baristas in the house and they will answer your questions fantastically. All right, and in just wrapping up the show, I would like the baristas to give us a take home so that everyone will know what to do and what to expect. So,
all right,
take homes for this.
Right, so Josephine, you want to give us one or two take home?
Okay, based on the conversations we've had today, it's about you declaring your tax.
Okay.
Make sure you declare it. Don't wait for the government to come and tell you that, okay, you have to pay this tax. Declare it and make sure that you comply with the provisions of the act. That would be my.
All right.
Yeah, I would say keep good records of whatever income that is coming. You are paying rent, you are doing anything concerning your account, keep good records of them. Because there's a time they would come, like Jesus Christ would come. There's a time they would come and they will ask for it. So you can so you can tender whatever you have been collating and keeping. I think that's the best and safer way.
Yes. And in addition to that, if you've not gotten your tin, get it now. Be proactive. Go and get your tin by yourself. Don't allow them to give you one. Also, if you are an online person, you are making little money here and there from Facebook, from Instagram, from cryptocurrency, start tracking your gains and be ready to report when the time comes. And finally, don't say, oh, I can handle it all by myself. Get a tax lawyer or an accountant. They will be very helpful at times like this.
In fact, I think the next week I would ask, because you have mentioned the place that hits me now. Those are earning online.
Yes.
Content creators and all of that.
Exactly.
So they have come for us.
They've come for us.
No problem. All right. So if you're joining us, this show continues every Friday all through the month of November. We're going to be breaking down the Nigerian Tax Act 2025. This is just the beginning. So if you have questions you want the panelists to answer, please note them down. In the next edition, you can call in or you send your questions via the comment section in the video. Thank you so much for joining us in this conversation.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much, Barrister David. Thank you, Barrister Josephine, and Barrister Temidayo.
You're welcome, sir.
And thank you for joining us, you watching there right there. I've seen Ayamuchi Museum on Facebook. I've seen Akudo Gift Ebocho. Thank you for joining us, and every other person who has joined in the conversation. I've seen your comments, and Akudo says we are arming ourselves for 2026. Father Lord. Father Lord, that's a prayer. I'm sure it's an NSPPD kind of prayer. Father Lord, we are arming ourselves for. And then I'm seeing Ayamuchi Meze say we are taxified.
Seriously taxified.
Alright, so make sure you are taxified and you are arming yourself and preparing for 2026. And this is where we'll bring the show to a close. And by the grace of God, next week Friday, 5:30 p.m. on Broad Street Radio, your #1 business radio, our panelists will be coming again to further give us more details about the Nigerian Tax Act 2025. So NTA now have two different meanings: Nigerian Television Authority and Nigerian Tax Act. So make sure that you prepare for the NTA that will start removing deductions and stocks from your bank account in 2026. And if you have not liked this video, don't hesitate to do that, so that Facebook algorithm will recommend this video to as many billions of Facebook users and help them to be taxified. And don't forget to share this video to as many as you know that needs to get this information, because every Nigerian needs to get the detail of the Nigerian Tax Act 2025. Thank you once again for joining us for the Nigerian Tax Act on the Civic Mind Show on Broad Street Radio, your #1 business radio. Do have a lovely weekend and be taxified.